up, guys? Today in the field we're looking at this guy that's trying to hide from Melanie and I across the lake there. You can see he's a pretty big individual. He's not alone. There's a bunch of different stuff in the trees with him, but there's obviously one or two right in this area. We can see the dome up here where the hair comes up. There's something here next to him. And there's a bunch of them, I think, packed in here. There's something right in here, right, and it's probably in the foreground, and he's just behind it and above it. But you can see we're getting the aberration on that skin. Got a little change in the light levels on the cheeks and the bridge of the nose here. The ball of the nose, if you watch, it'll receive a little more light, and we get that little shade difference. We can see a variation there. That's on an overcast day. This is completely overcast sky. It was like about to rain kind of thing, and we're looking at a transformation, like in the color of this creature's skin. It's definitely lighter, and it's not even a drastic sun day. It's like you can see how it flashes on the bridge, on the ball of his nose there, and that's right in here. If you're having trouble with that. But we're looking at it. You can see creature's eyes right in here, and so he's like about this wide, but there are other creatures jammed in, and so we're seeing how they live together. This is their dispersion at 7:30 in the morning. They're laying all over each other like people. They're laying all over each other like people. Look at these frames. I mean, we can see we've got multiple individuals with this guy right here. They're on this side of him. We got all kinds of interesting parts. And you can see the other one right here. You can see his eyes, his nose, and his mouth. This is that chimpanzee-looking kind of thing. And then we've got a more man-like one. So, going through the footage, we have to be able to identify these individuals, or we're at a loss, period. We're not gonna. And you can see we've got several individuals in here. We've even got some of this guy's head, I think. I don't think his head is up here. I think this is another one. I think they're jammed in, like I said. But in looking at the footage, if we didn't know that, if we didn't know any of this, when we reset this and we take off all of our highlights, Melanie and I are looking at a beautiful scene, and that's it. You are not going to tell me that there are multiple hominoids watching you, right? And so why are we in this predicament as researchers? I just showed you why, right? The creatures are on the other side, and they are intensely focused on my wife and I. We're the only two human beings walking through this area at this point. We're all being watched by these creatures. They blend in, and they can be places you least suspect. When I tell you that finding this area is a shock, and it's way too close to home, that's not an understatement. This is the area with the enormous, gigantic creatures. This is the area where if that water source gets tainted, those creatures that are embedded in that bank on the other side, and trust me when I tell you, they're all the way down this bank. They're in the water on this ledge. They're in the water. If this water gets tainted, it's going to be some serious problems for the community that surrounds this area. You'd never know they were there. You'd never know. And yet, when we crop in and we go back and we let it render, we end up with our creatures. Here they are, right here. That's him. And we've got other aspects of creatures all in here. And there's some trees and stuff in here. Like you can see, these are fully grown trees. These are enormous individuals, right? Let's make a little bit of a lighter situation so we can see them. We've just filtered the type of light that was in between us and these creatures, and now we can see them. But again, you don't think there's creatures over there when you're hiking. And yet there are. And they're watching us. And you can plainly see them over there. You can plainly see them over there. Look at this guy. And look, you can see is it possible that babies crawl around their backs? Is it possible that, these infant Sasquatch have like superior grips like primates have, like, when they're born, they can just hang on? Is that part of their, genetic makeup, that the babies and the groups are very communal in the way gorillas are, say, or in the way groups of humans would behave in tribal situations like this? This is what we see. They're all around each other. Keep that in mind when you're reviewing footage and you see where you're catching them, where it looks like this thing is like some kind of a mutant. It's like a mutant, and it does resemble some kind of a mutant if you didn't understand the diffusive aspects of what's going on to create the aberration that the cameras are having trouble with. And that's really all it is. The aberration is way too strong, so we remove some of it by messing around with exposures and contrast. And what happens? Well, we start to see some depth finally, and we can see that there are several creatures here hanging out. Some are in front, some are behind, but they're all here in a communal resting area, in a communal resting kind of situation. And it's fascinating because I marked this time and continue to go at this time, and I see this type of behavior in our footage where we know the creatures are probably at rest, hanging out together. They're certainly watching us.